James Dom,
Present.
Vice Chair Reverend Daryl Gray,
Present.
Tom Lawson,
Present.
Ornitha Lewis Walls is not here right now. Mike Milton,
Present.
Hillary Stuckey,
Present.
and Secretary Pam Walker is not here right now. We do have a quorum. Let's see. So the agenda is as follows. First is the welcome and call to order. Second is the approval of minutes. We didn't have that on the agenda, but that's what the second item is. Next is board problems and solutions. Third is the discussion of legal matters pursuant to section 610.021, subsection 1. Next is updates regarding the attempted jail visit. Fifth is a discussion of our orientation plan. Sixth is updates from the healthcare subcommittee. Then we have a return to, okay, I think this agenda might be out of order. So after the discussion of legal matters, the closed part, we'll have a return to open session after that. And then after the updates from the healthcare subcommittee, we have adjournment, well, new business, and then public comment, and then adjournment. Okay. All right, so moving on to the.
Janice, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Did you mention that Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard would be appearing? She said she'd be able to make it by Zoom. So just in
Okay, yes.
she has another committee,
Mhm.
her neighborhood meetings tonight, and but she thinks she'll be able to make it. So
Okay,
just putting
sounds
it out
good.
there if she shows up.
Yes, so Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard will also be on the agenda to discuss the latest ordinance and how it pertains to us. Let's see.
Oh, she's
She
she's
just
signing
joined.
in now. So
we
if you
can-
want to have her,
Yeah, we could have her present after the approval of the minutes.
okay.
Okay.
Chair, I move the approval of the minutes with necessary corrections.
Before we move, just for the record, Associate City Councilor Barbara Burkett is out sick tonight, so she can't make it. But she did send me some revisions to the minutes. They're mostly minor, and I can either detail them here or just send them to everybody.
If they're minor, if you could just give us a rundown, then we should be able to approve it.
Okay. On page 1.
Sorry,
it's
Matt.
Change.
We're
Yeah, go ahead.
We're getting feedback from Ruby Bonner's mic.
And Pam just text chairperson, she's not gonna be able to.
Did you say she wouldn't be able to make it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, we can table actually, if another person could give the medical committee update, we'll try to do that. If not, we'll table it for next meeting.
Yeah, we should be able to cover it.
Okay, great.
So for the minutes, she wanted to change her title from assistant.
Can you all hear Matt?
No.
Okay, Matt, we can no longer hear
him.
you.
I thought something was wrong with my thing. Sound like he dropped off or something.
Okay, everybody can hear me now.
I can hear you a little bit.
So on the first page, she just wanted her title changed from assistant to associate city councilor. On the second page, she wanted noted where we discussed the proposed rules and procedures for investigations, that she had stated on the record that her office had not completed its review, and other reviews should be completed prior to their adoption of the rules and procedures. And then
Really quickly,
the
Matt.
adoption. Say that again.
The part where it says that her office needs to complete the review, is that stated as Barbara Burkett's opinion?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
that was her statement.
Sounds good. You
Um,
can continue.
Yeah, and then our adoption of the rules and procedures. She wanted the individual votes tallied. So I believe it was 8-0 unanimous. And those were the three changes she had.
I saw Mike just came on video. Did you have any? Okay, great. Well, they sound good to me, but so we could move to, if someone seconds Reverend Gray's motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Looks like we're ready to vote. I'll take a roll call vote. Actually, Matt, since neither Pam nor Barbara Burkett are here, is someone able to take notes?
I'll take notes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will take a roll call vote. Barbara Baker,
Okay.
James Dom.
Aye.
Vice Chair Reverend Darrell Gray,
Aye.
Tom Lawson,
Aye.
Ornitha Lewis Walls is still not here. Mike Milton.
Aye.
Hillary Stuckey,
Yes.
and Secretary Pam Walker is still not here. But that is 6, I believe. Yes, 6 yeses. So it does pass. Okay, and Alderwoman Shamim Clark Hubbard, are you here?
Yes, I'm listening.
Hi, I'm not sure if you were here for the beginning when we said this, but if now is a good time for you to give an update on the new ordinance and how it relates to the board, you have that space.
Let me see. The new ordinance. Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening. I lost my
Good.
track of time. I'm sorry. The new ordinance actually, unless I'm misunderstanding something, that was for the civilian oversight board. I didn't think it overreached to you all's, to the detention oversight board, or am I misunderstanding that, Commissioner Brumman?
No, it does. It incorporates the DFOB right reference and subjects it to kind of the biggest change is that it subjects it to the 1-year transition period, which we didn't have previously, but now we do, according to the city councilor's office. So it incorporates it by reference and kind of, and it changes a couple of things as far as where the original DFOB could possibly do criminal investigations. Now that's not part of our mandate under the new ordinance. I think it keeps it more uniform with the COB.
Okay, so
Did you-
that, okay. Just to be clear and to be honest, we were so busy fighting to get it passed, addressing the 2 findings that the judge had found for the civilian oversight board. So I probably was more so thinking about that when I think about how we passed that for the second time during this last legislative session. But as we all know, this is still a work in process. So each step gets us closer to where we want to be as it relates to civilian oversight as a whole in the city of St. Louis. So thank you all for your service on this board, continued service on this board through it all. And just know that you also continue to have my 100% support.
Matt, if you could you restate the second thing you said? Were you saying that, just if you could restate it?
Yeah, so the kind of the changes is how it affects where we were just operating under the original DFOB ordinance 71430. Now this one kind of incorporates it by reference, and since it's the newer ordinance, it kind of takes precedence. And so there's I mean, there's slight changes to the orientation program. It adds a couple things that weren't under the old ordinance. Which that's completely, yeah, that's no problem. But it also has the 1-year transition period. And so how the legal advice is that until we kind of get the operational go from the mayor's executive order, is that we can't do, and I want to get the language correct, substantive action. So it's really, we're in preparation mode, for for the COB, it's kind of a transition period, but it's kind of what's working for the DFOB as well. And then there was, under the DFOB ordinance, some room that possibly DFOB investigators could do criminal investigations, but now under the new ordinance, we'll stick to just the administrative, the professional misconduct inquiries, which that keeps it a lot more straightforward and uniform between the two boards.
So those seem like big changes, if I'm understanding correctly.
Well, it's definitely going to slow us down some, and that's something we can get to, in our later discussions with the orientation plan. But basically, we're in the status of not, every information request, every thing that we try to do is met with, we haven't finished the orientation yet. You haven't trained everybody yet. And even though we've been trying to do the orientation program since August and have met difficulties with DOC lack of cooperation within that program. Yeah, I mean, that's, we need to go ahead and get that done so we can just remove that objection and get fully activated.
Okay. I see Reverend Gray's hand up. I'm thinking we can open it up to discussion. I'm not sure whether some of the board members' discussion points will be things that they'll want to ask the Alderwoman. If we could do those earlier, on the earlier side, so we could let her get back to her day, and then we can open it up for discussion on things that we would like to discuss with one another. I think some of the things that I would like to discuss on this, we could just cover in the board problems and solutions agenda item. But with that said, I will pass it to Reverend Gray.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. I think that mine is in line with the presence of the Alderwoman, and I want to say, first of all, to the Alderwoman, congratulations. I know that our board is not political in nature, but I say congratulations because you have been a champion for criminal justice reform, and you've been a champion for this board, and so I think that your being on this call at this juncture in the life of the board is extremely significant based upon the concerns that we've talked about and that we'll probably talk about later. I just want to ask the Alderwoman if she would, in her capacity, help us to get some clarity from the mayor's office as it relates to as you say, it's a work in progress. But I want to be clear with the comment and get this from the mayor's office. What does it mean when we talk about needing the mayor's operational approval, giving us the green light? And does that, once you ask that question, it's important for us as a board to know if our work is predicated on that approval. Are we in a standstill, Madam Alderwoman? You authored this bill. You championed this bill. You've given 100 support to the creation of both entities, but I think it's important for you to know the frustration that many, if not all of the board members feel at this juncture in the life of this board. I think it's important for you to know that frustration has probably got most of us to the point of asking ourselves if we indeed want to continue on this board with the level of obstruction that we feel that we've been getting from the DOC. I know the commissioner, his words was lack of cooperation. Some of us think it's even more than that. It's obstruction. And we don't understand, Madam Alderwoman, why it seems as though we've been put in an adversarial position, and every move, every discussion, every meeting, it seems like we're being pushed backwards rather than encouraged to move forward. And so through the chair, I'm not asking for any response at this time from you, because I know you need an opportunity to do your own research. But I want to say, as a member of this board, that I'm at my limit, and I am thinking very seriously about discontinuing my participation on this board based upon all of the roadblocks that we've experienced as it relates to the DOC. We don't know what we can do. We don't know what we cannot do. And I think that many of the board members will concur. None of us took this role on to be a rubber stamp. None of us took this role on to be silent as it relates to the care and the welfare, the health and the safety of not only the detainees, but the correctional officers and staff as well. And we don't feel that we're getting the support outside of our commissioner and his staff to do what we have been called to do. And so, Chair, that's my comment to the Alderwoman, who I respect immensely. But right now, I believe that it's a storm waiting to happen if we are not allowed and given the tools and the cooperation necessary to do our job per the ordinance that you sponsored and championed. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me an opportunity to share that.
May I respond?
Sure, yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you, Reverend Gray, for the kind words you said. And you know, as well as others on this call, you follow. So we in the same boat as it relates to obstructionism, right? And we know when it's happening. We not naive to it. We know we can see it. We don't have to think about it. We can feel it. And then on top of that, we have this thing called discernment, right? So we know when it's going on. So I'm asking because I believe that you all do know that I'm a champion for this work and that I'm going to stand with you all. I'm glad I was able to make it on this call tonight so I could hear this. I actually just heard some of these same concerns from another board member last night. So I know all of this is in line. And if you give me the opportunity, I will ask those specific questions. I will get them in writing and I will either relay them back to the board or bring them back at your next meeting. And then we plan our next positions and roles and actions from there. But I'm asking all of you all, because I was on the calls and I know you all's passion for this work. and I know y'all are an amazing group of people. I know my mama Baker on here. I'm asking y'all, please don't give up. We need y'all, right? And if y'all give up, I don't know where we go. It'll be a hard task to start all over. Because we fought and we chose and we was on that call and hey, here's the thing, we getting ready to gear back up tomorrow. There'll be new people in positions. There'll be a new board committee, public safety committee. I want to get you all right back on there. Let's get an update and see what's going on. And that's where we move together and we fight together. But I guess then that was a big roundabout way of saying, don't give up today. Don't give up tomorrow.
Okay.
Please stay in the fight and give me an opportunity to try to help us navigate and figure this out for the work that we all believe in.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Both
Thank
of
you,
you.
Alderwoman.
Yes, ma'am.
Do other board members have comments or questions for the Alderwoman?
James got his hand up.
Oh, yes, James. Sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah, that's sorry. I was just curious if we have the 1 year transition period. Is there a specific start date? Is that the date we were sworn in? Has that been defined?
It has not been defined.
Okay.
I would assume it starts with the ordinance.
Okay.
Is it based on the reading of the opinion? I would assume, yeah.
That was my only question, was in regard to the transition period and the start date of that.
So that would be through March of 24, but that's the maximum. It can be sooner. So if we can get done sooner and show that we're ready, we can apply and ask for the go order sooner than that.
Alderwoman, if that could be one of the questions you put in writing, that would be terrific. Thanks. Other board members?
I had a quick question.
Yep, Mike.
First of all, thank you, Shemaine. I really appreciate that. And also Reverend Gray. Matt, you said that the second thing that you said about us not having the power for criminal, can you restate that for me?
Yeah, so the original 71430 had a provision where investigators from the civilian oversight could participate in criminal investigations. And then now the new ordinance only contemplates the internal affair type misconduct investigations, not the criminal part of it. And like it was with the COB side. So that's going to be consistent.
Why did that change?
It was my
That-
understanding. Oh, go ahead, Commissioner Brown.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, mine is probably a broader brush than you were gonna paint, but just when we went back in with this one, the counselor's office was taking every step to make sure that they wouldn't be able to come back with any kind of countersuit. So not only did we address, again, the judge that only found 2 findings, they went through with a fine-tooth comb and found anything else that could trigger anything else for them to then file another lawsuit. Try to file another lawsuit and hold it back up. And it looks like we successful because they pulled back on everything, right? And they didn't do that for this one. So again, that would be where I would say I would look at everything that became consistent or on both sides came from that view of making sure that we completely cover so that we could get these boards back in place at a time when they were completely stripped of everything.
I have a question for the Alderwoman. Is there a way that we can be, and I guess I should really consult the other board members on this, but is there a way we could not be automatically included on things that are related to the other civilian oversight board? Because I feel like we have different needs, maybe.
I would have to talk to the city council's office about that. I'll add that to the list.
Okay,
If it has to do just per ordinance or if it's just, some other reason why they were put together. But I know if it was just because it was civilian oversight as a whole for the city of St. Louis, and when we came back with it, because remember we had civilian oversight prior to us. Now
Right.
wanting to implement this, you all very necessary piece of it. So, but I'll ask that as well.
thank you. Board members, any other questions?
Commissioner Brumman, did you have something else for that though?
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, just from a management point of view, it's gonna make it cleaner and simpler because of the Garrity issues and that you're gonna encounter between the professional misconduct versus criminal. It's gonna make it a much simpler, straightforward administrative task. I know that's not the main concern, but that from a management standpoint, it's gonna be much simpler to do.
Could you clarify what you were saying? Is this Garrity issues?
Right, so in internal affairs investigation, you know, the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination can be, you can force people to answer questions, but any evidence gained in that can't be provided to criminal investigators. So like currently internal affairs will have a civilian investigator and a criminal investigator, and they conduct separate interviews based on that. So, you know, if they waive their right, the criminal investigator will stay. If they don't waive their right, they'll exit the interview and only the civilian side will stay. So yeah, that was that issue came up a lot during the, Alderwoman can tell you that during the debates and the process, that's a big issue.
Okay, thank you for the clarification. Other board members, do we have further questions for the Alderwoman? Otherwise, I will let her go and we will continue with our meeting and our discussion.
I'd just like to say thank you, Alderman Hubbard, for getting on, and it is good to see you.
Thank you.
All right, I will second that. Thank you for coming on. And yes, we will certainly appreciate any further clarification you can get, whether that's over email or at our next meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
So board members, do we want to open it up for a discussion on this or move on to our next meeting agenda? I don't imagine there will be motions related to this since we're kind of just waiting to hear back, but maybe some of you would just like to express your reactions, opinions here. Does anyone have something they wanted to add?
Well, Chair, I think, and thank you for the opportunity.
Mhm.
I shared mine with the Alderwoman. I deliberately have not said anything publicly, but I'm extremely concerned about all of this. Not only what it looks like on behalf of the board, but what it looks like for the city. And I know that you're going to give us a report, but you know, when I served on the task force, I didn't have any problem getting into the jail. I didn't have any problem visiting the jail. As clergy typically doesn't have a problem visiting the jail. And so I am appalled at the fact that you, as the chair of this board, was denied access. It's appalling. And I'm hoping, Chair, that there can be a solution found more sooner than later, because I said earlier I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, and one of the theme comments was winter is coming. Well, in this case, summer is coming, and police are arresting more people, not less. The circuit attorney's office is not able to get people through the process. The court system is not able to get people through the process, which means those are people in jail. Overcrowding will take place. The pressure on an already understaffed correctional institution is going to increase, not decrease. It's just nonsensical, and it is it's an explosion, Chair, in my opinion, who dealt with the on the committee that who dealt with the aftermath of 4 riots. I'm earnestly concerned, and I applaud your patience. I applaud your patience. I applaud your patience. Mike and I addressed the like tonight for a reason. It's got to be a reason. But I want to say thank you for the leadership that you continue to give, and for your clarity and for your transparency. But I'm concerned, Chair. So I'm going to go on mute, and I'm going to be quiet for a while.
Thank you for your comment. I will pass it to Tom in just a second. I think I might have read the wrong agenda because I know that I had public statement on the agenda where Mike's motion was going to come up, and I don't have it now. Matt, do you have?
It's on the open agenda. The public
Okay.
comment at item 10.
Item 10. Okay, yeah, I definitely don't have the most updated agenda. Could you email that to me so I could get it at the top of my email?
I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, perfect. And I'll just say before I pass it to Tom that the update I will give later on my latest jail visit is far more appalling, and we'll get to that. So I will pass it to Tom.
Thank you. Reverend Gray, thank you so much for what you were saying, because I was thinking the exact thing. I was on the Ferguson Civilian Review Board, and we had gone 1.5 years, and not one complaint was filed against the police department. So obviously the system was corrupt. The system had circumvented what the ideal of the committee was about. And once I realized that there was no purpose to it, I had to resign. There's no part of being in something that is just a puppet or just, it's just, anyway. But, and I'm starting to feel that way about this as well, because technically speaking, I think we've all been kind of accepted onto this board by April of last year. So that means to me, like, we've been here for 1 year, and what have we actually been able to do other than fight bureaucracy and come across speed bumps every minute and every turn that we go, just constant obstacles. As an adjunct instructor out at St. Charles Community College, I have been given more access to Jeff City State Penitentiary when it was open, St. Charles Community County Jail, Potosi. I've been through those facilities at every aspect within that facility as an educator. And here we are just wanting to go in and see, and we're on this this little puppet tour that everything is protected, and structured so we only see basically nothing of value. And it just seems like we're not really getting a whole lot of support from City Hall when it's their idea of creating this, and they're wanting to find out and wanting some answers or questions to answers. And it just seems like all we get is, well, you got to go through orientation now. I don't have the exact date in my head, but Matt had sent out an email about there's some kind of confidentiality training that we'll have to go through, 16 hours. And that's covering 2 days. I think it was in May, this coming May. And when I read the email, I'm sitting there going, does that mean that there's 2 days during work time that we need to take off to go to these training sessions? Are we going to get paid? I mean, people are going to give up their time and go to it. That means they're losing out on money. Some people may be losing out on money because they're not actually at work that day. And the other thing is, what about who can and who can't take off? See, to me, that sounds like a ploy. It's one of those things that's like, well, we're going to give you training on these 2 days during the day. And we kind of know that some of you won't be able to make it. So that'll stumble the committee even more. It just sounds like it's manipulation left and right. And there isn't any, and in some way, we're given this stance that we are supposed to be able to do something. And it's just, yeah, oh, no, yeah, we said that, but we changed our mind, or we redid the ordinance or something. So, but anyway, thank you, Reverend Gray, for your comment, because I was questioning whether or not is there a future here for me. But I want to stand strong and keep forward with this. Thanks.
Sorry, I was on mute. I said, thank you, Tom, except for the last part about leaving. Oh, no more of that. But yeah, Matt, sorry, Matt, I think I saw the agenda you sent me, but it still doesn't have public statement. I see item 10 is public comment, but I was talking about the public statement section for creating a public statement about how everything's been going.
I misunderstood then. My apologies.
Okay, that's no problem.
Sorry.
I think we could still, Mike, if you think this makes sense, we could still discuss the public statement like right before new business, because then we'll kind of have covered everything that we might want to put in the public statement. Okay, so I will add that to the agenda there. Okay. Other board members, comments on this? We do have a larger, I mean, the next item on the agenda is board problems and solutions. So maybe we just move to that and continue to talk about the problems. Okay, that sounds like agreement, I suppose. So we'll move on to the next item of the agenda, which is board problems and solutions. I'll just read this full agenda because I read the wrong one first. Welcome and call to order, then the approval of the minutes, the discussion of the ordinance was next, then the board problems and solutions. Next is the option for a closed meeting, a return to open session, an update on the healthcare subcommittee, our orientation plan, public statement, then new business, public comment, and then adjournment. Sorry. So then we can talk about board problems and solutions now. And I think I could start this off with recounting how the jail visits went. Not everyone is updated, and I think it kind of encapsulates what is our main problem here, in my opinion. So on 4/4, I gave notice to the commissioner with her executive assistant, Tammy CC, that I wanted to visit the jail that Friday, which was 4/7. On 4/7, I went, so I didn't receive any reply to that email, but I never do. On 4/7, I went, they, I suppose, had not seen the email and I was denied. They said that they were, Tammy said that she was busy and that when I said that I could go with any staff member, I didn't necessarily need her there if she was busy. She said that she wanted to be there for any tour I went on. And since she was unavailable, that meant I wasn't going on a tour that day. So I kind of hung out for about another hour and then I left to return to my job. I sent an email following up, asking for the written confirmation of the written notice of why I was denied, because that's what it says in the ordinance. Tammy responded that they were unavailable. I followed up asking, could you provide more information? What does unavailable mean? And she didn't really provide any more information other than saying that she wasn't aware that I was willing to wait. I also gave notice in that email that I would be back the following Friday morning for another visit. I'm sorry, I forgot that at the first visit on 4/7, she said that the commissioner was taking a class and that the class would end on Tuesday. So I should try to schedule something after Tuesday. And then I said, we don't need to go back and forth over email scheduling. I'm just going to be here next Friday. So the next Friday was 4/14. I showed up at 11:30 and then Tammy told me that she was about to go to lunch. So I had to wait. I then waited 2 hours for her to finish her lunch. And I was able to visit the facility. The visit lasted less than 15 minutes. While I was in the waiting room, I happened to see another man there who had just left the facility, was just released from the facility after being there for 3 years. He was very eager to tell me about what was going on there. He said he'd been there before the riots, during the riots, and after the riots. He said that, and let me just check, Matt, can I say this? I'm not going to say his name or anything. I don't even know his name, but I'm just recounting what he told me about the conditions.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. He said that the conditions were terrible. He said that there are still men on the fifth floor of the facility that aren't being allowed to shower. I gave him all of my information. I said, please contact us. And I explained, we're the Detention Facility Oversight Board. He said he had heard of us. So Tammy kind of pulled me away from him to all of a sudden, it was ready for the tour. So I left after giving him my information. We go in, I ask to see the 5th floor. She tells me that there's no one being held on the 5th floor, that it's under renovation and I can't possibly see it. I say, okay. I ask if there is a pod where everyone under protective custody is held. I've been told by people inside that there's a pod where everyone under protective custody is held. She said that doesn't exist. People in protective custody are, sparse throughout the facility, which doesn't make much sense to me, but that's fine. I said, okay. She said, there are people from floor 1 to floor 4. So I said, let's start with floor 4. We go to the 4th floor. There are 4 units, A, B, C, and D, just like all the other floors are laid out. We go into one of the units, and there are 2 detained people outside of their cells, and they're cleaning, just kind of cleaning the unit. I go in and I see that there's a sign on the window of one person's cell, and it's kind of like written on a piece of paper and taped to the window so that you could see it from the outside. It's a very distressing message. I can only read the first line, and it says, I've been locked in here for several days. And before I can continue to read it, I'm close enough that he starts to speak to me. So I start to listen to him. We start to have a conversation. But I just want to pause here to clarify that this man had no idea that someone from the Detention Facility Oversight Board would be stopping in. And yet he still had a distressing message scribbled on a piece of paper, taped to the window, hoping that someone would see it, even knowing that the only people that will probably see it are the guards and I guess the social workers who are at least in part participating in this distressing situation. I start to talk to the man, and I've taken notes here because I had my journal. He said he's only allowed, sorry, I'm going to try to get through this. He said he's only allowed to shower about once every 2 weeks. He said that he's not able to make phone calls. The last time he was able to contact his family was a month ago. He said that his social worker decides how much food each person gets, whether you get a tray, you get 1 tray or you get 2. He said that he has not been allowed to receive any mail. He said that he was just maced the other day for asking for tissues. So he's been maced and he's not been allowed to shower. And as someone,
Take your time. Take your time.
sure. I'm only
I
24.
feel you.
I'm only 24. I've been maced several times. Every single time in St. Louis. I know how loose the state of St. Louis, you know what I mean by the state, but just law enforcers in St. Louis are with chemical warfare and are with mace and tear gas. I can't imagine what it's like to be maced and not be allowed to shower for days. And to only have, I assume, 1 blanket that, okay, let me just continue. As I'm talking to him, he starts off the conversation by saying, I just want to ask who you are. I tell him I'm the the chair of the Detention Facility Oversight Board, and I start to describe what our purpose is, but he says he's heard of us. He says, "Are you the people to talk to about the terrible conditions here?" Quote, "terrible conditions here." And I say, "Yes." And he just starts going, just listing one thing after another thing after another thing, each just absurd. I guess Tammy then sees that I'm talking to him, like I'm actually talking to a person, and she comes over and she says, "Are you supposed to be talking to people?" And I said, "Yes." Yes, this is a visit. And she kind of starts to go back and forth with me on whether or not the ordinance allows me to talk to people. And I'm just restating the point. This is oversight. This is what I'm here for. She keeps restating her point that this is a tour. It's not to talk to people. She says she wants to step outside so I can show her where in the ordinance it says that I can speak to people. I tell her I don't have a copy of it on me, but it's available online and I can point her to it. She continues to try to get me to leave the unit. And I say, "I can show you where it is, but does that mean we're going back to the lobby? Does that mean the tour is over?" She tells me, "No, we can step outside. We can look at the ordinance and we'll come right back." I don't know why I believed her. She began to physically push me out of the unit. At this point, I say, "Okay, like I will step out of the unit, but I'm going to write down my contact information on this journal that I have, hold it to the window and he could take it down. If he's able to contact his family, he can get word to us." She says that I can't do that. She continues to push me out. At one point, Tammy, the social worker that was along for the tour, and a corrections officer that is along for the tour are all three yelling at me all at the same time, telling me that I'm being unprofessional. I've not raised my voice once. I'm not getting physical. I'm just saying, "I'm here for oversight. This is what I'm doing." So we leave the unit. We go to this room where there's a laptop there. She doesn't look up the ordinance, so there's no chance for me to point her to it. She says, "Let me make a call," but she doesn't make a call. She just tells me that I'm not allowed to speak to people here. It's kind of that same back and forth. For some reason, the correctional officer there is very upset with me, very, very standoffish. I didn't understand that. I told him we were here to improve conditions for people detained here and people who work here. And he's just telling me that I should have emailed that I wanted to speak to people. But after this back and forth, Tammy says, and I quote, "For now, this tour is a wrap." And there's nothing to do. I'm pretty upset. I quickly walk, we pass all the doors, whatever, and I leave. And she tells me, "Have a nice day." I then sent the following email to Tammy. I'm just going to read it to you. And this is to Tammy with the commissioner CC'd. In all of this time, I've not received an email from the commissioner or any direct contact from the commissioner since 4/4 when I gave notice that I would be stopping by. On April 7th, I gave notice that I would visit CJC on April 14th. On April 14th, after being made to wait 2 hours so Tammy could go to lunch, I was allowed access to the facility. After less than 15 minutes, Tammy ended the tour abruptly and by physically pushing me out of the unit after a man began to tell me of the quote horrible conditions. This email is notice that I will be back for a visit to provide oversight sometime next week. It will most likely be Friday morning. It is not my intention to be inconsiderate, but it is my intention to provide oversight. Although it seems to make little difference, I am again quoting the ordinance that established the board of which I am chair. Please see to it that my next tour is not like the last one. I then quoted the same section that we should be provided access at any time without conditions or requirements as to the timing of such notice. They should act promptly and make every effort to secure our access, ensure our access to inspect conditions and to interview complainants and witnesses. When we're denied or prohibited, the commissioner shall send written notice of why we're denied, why we're temporarily precluded and prohibited. And that is where the email that Matt sent comes in, where they basically say, no more tours. And as I'm sure you all know, we haven't had one substantive tour. The closest that we came to it, I was pushed out. So to talk about problems, the city, the commissioner, those are my two main problems. And if I had to make, I mean, just like you said, Tom, it was April before, it's April again, it's been a year. If I had to make a recommendation on how to improve the CJC, I would not, personally, I would not be able to recommend in good conscience that it stays open under the supposed care of the commissioner. I couldn't.
Or that the whole staff is removed at the administrative level.
So I know that's a lot. It's a lot. I don't know what to say, but I'd like to hear from the rest of the board.
I hate that you had to go through that, and then they was all the way wrong to even put their hands on you to push you. It should have stayed verbal, but I knew from the first time that I met that commissioner that she was going to be a handful. You know, that's why I wasn't really to be in a fight with her about being on this board and working with our program and stuff like that. But so who is it that you can report her to? Where does it, can you make a report or something to somebody?
I could,
Because they're gonna they're gonna lie and turn it around on you like you was in
Yeah.
there totally disrespectful, try to keep you out of there.
yes, and that I was thinking about this before. I think that we should request the security footage of this interaction. I doubt that we'll ever see it, but
Mhm.
would like us to request it. And to your point, Barb, I'm sure I could report her. I think it would fall on deaf ears. I'm willing to do it anyways, but
Mhm.
also she wasn't there. I haven't seen her since she came to our meeting or heard from her. And I've reached out several times.
I didn't even like her body language when we first met her and was on that tour. It wasn't nothing professional about it. It was like, hey, I'm the big bad wolf here. And if her body language say that's to us, you know what it say to the residents there.
Jen, this is consistent. What you said, the young man said, is consistent with what we have been hearing too. Everybody's not lying about their experience here. It is very clear. I'm very disappointed in our mayor, Tashara Jones. I'm just going to be clear. This is an opportunity where she helped create this board. She appointed people on this board, and her office and her administration is very clearly doing everything possible to stop us from doing our jobs at this board. And we expected her, and when we elected her as a progressive mayor, to come in and to make sure that we're doing everything, or that she's doing everything possible to support and protect the people. I have so many words, but that is absolutely horrible what you experienced. It's absolutely horrible what people are detained and inside of the jail is experienced. And I have no hope at this point for this board to get anything done, given out all of the roadblocks that they putting up to stop us from doing the job. Unless something changes in the nearby future, there's nothing that nobody on this board who can tell me to get me to stay. I find it much more effective to push from the outside, to be honest. So I'm gonna say that. I got so much more to say, but I see that other people have things to say. I think it's absolutely horrible what you went through. I think it's absolutely unfair that we've been put in this position where we can't do anything. And I also think that it's absolutely possible for the mayor to step in and allow us to do our jobs.
Thank you, Mike. I'll pass it to Tom.
Yeah, I think Mike is absolutely right. And Mike, I wouldn't mind if you continue to talk. I think one of the things we need to do is invite the mayor to our meeting and basically have a closed session with her and just be realistic about things. Is she or is she not behind this board? It's a simple yes or no. And then from that direction, we know where to go. Because as you've experienced, this, when we really get into this, this is going to be an emotional ride. We're going to meet people. We're going to see the pain. We're going to see the inhumanity, and it's going to take a toll on us. We're going to be affected by this, and so at some point we're going to have to make a decision. But I think we should just all send a letter to the mayor requesting her
Hey, Tom,
presence. Yeah.
You froze for a second, so we missed.
Sorry.
Oh.
But I think we need to invite the mayor and get a stance. And either she is or she isn't. And Matt, can you tell us who is over the commissioner of the detention facility?
So, it's the director of public safety who the commissioner of corrections reports to. And I also spoke with Nicole Barton, who spoke to me.
You breaking up, man.
Yeah, Tom, I don't think you froze.
On
I
behalf
think
of the mayor's office today. And they
Matt,
want to see this work. Can you hear me?
we
You breaking
can.
up.
It's cutting out like the connection's not good. I also think before when you said Tom froze that it might have been you.
Okay. All right. We'll see if we'll just kind of keep pressing forward here. So
Mhm.
Nicole Barton, who's the criminal justice coordinator, spoke to me today on behalf of the mayor's office, stating that they wanted to see this work and wanted to see the orientation. When I first reached out to the Commissioner of Corrections back in August, inviting her, it was very explicit that it was part of the orientation process because it was afterward our second meeting. And then I've also, just so everyone's aware, I've asked repeatedly on behalf of the board for the ability to speak with detainees, whether it's part of the tour process. That's why we didn't have that third set of board members yet, because we wanted to make sure that we were speaking with detainees. We've made that request multiple times to her.
I'd also
Horrible.
want to, yeah, just on top of that, one of the opportunities for us to speak to people detained at CJC were the pod meetings, the dorm rep meetings that were regularly scheduled and seemed to just not exist as soon as we asked to be there. So I will, I see Barb Baker's hand is up. Barb, you have the floor.
Okay, Tom really said what I was gonna ask, if we could have the mayor for a meeting. And I also want to put in there, this practice that's going on with them in the jail and stuff, this is nothing new. This has been going on for over 30, 40 years. When I was doing time at the workhouse, the bitch was our name. And that was by the man there, but they have always been disrespectful and stuff. And I knew starting out on this board that this is where we were going to be, with a lot of pushback, because they know that they're not doing the right things. And how can we do anything in there if we're not allowed to talk to the people that's being affected by being there?
Mhm.
All of them is not going to lie.
Mhm.
Thank you,
No.
Barb.
Chairperson, I've got a problem. I've got a church meeting that I have to get on. I do
Okay.
apologize. If you would give me permission to say this,
Mhm.
I agree 100% that we need to request a meeting with the mayor. Mike, everybody's right. Whatever solutions we're seeking, it begins with the mayor's office, not with an interim public safety director, not with the commissioner of corrections, who seemingly has been an obstruction from day one, and not even with the city councilor's office. I made it clear in the very beginning that it's hard to serve two masters. The city councilor's office is there to protect the city. I get it. I understand it, which is why I said in the beginning that it seemed to me to be a conflict of interest to have them guiding us when our job is oversight. Their job is to protect the city legally. I get it. I understand it. But they can't protect the city legally and serve us too. The fact that Matt mentioned tonight with Barbara that she still has not been able to review our policies and procedures, that's not complete. How do we operate without policy and procedure? And if the policy and procedures have to be approved by the same city attorney's office that is working in cooperation with the commissioner of detention to keep us from getting information, then that's a problem in and of itself. And we talked about that, which is why we said early on, we wanted to discuss the possibility of an attorney for this board separate from the city councilor's office. So we need to revisit that. But I agree with Michael 100%. I told you we're dressed alike tonight, with the exception of the glasses. We need to ask the mayor. Not, I'm glad Alderwoman Hubbard was on. I don't think that we need to meet with anyone else until we meet with the mayor. The mayor appointed the commissioner of correction. The mayor appointed the city attorney. The mayor appointed the interim public safety director. The mayor appointed most of us. And so I think that we owe her an opportunity to come to speak for herself. And I'm sure she's able enough to do it. I understand Michael's frustration. I think all of us, most of us on here, without being political, believe that with her election and with her support of this board, that we would get transparency and accountability. She may not know everything that's going on. She should, but she might not. Out of fairness to the mayor, I want to make sure we have a quorum because I don't know if we have to vote on this. But if Mike is going to make a motion to invite the mayor to our next meeting and to state in our request the frustration and issues that we have, so that she comes prepared and to answer our concerns, I would be more than happy to second that motion if that's something that Michael is prepared to do. Because like I said, unfortunately, after that motion, I've got to keep my day job, y'all. I'm not like Michael, I'm the executive director of a big organization. I've just got a small church. I got to keep my job. But I do want to support that motion if it comes. And I'd like to get more information on that 16-hour training as well, because I do agree with Tom, that could be problematic for a lot of us. So I don't know where we are, Chair, and I don't want us to lose a quorum. I don't want us to lose a quorum.
Do we lose a quorum with Rev leaving?
If I
We
leave,
do.
No, it was still have six. Six is the
Okay.
quorum.
So I
Okay.
think we need a
Well-
couple motions to go forward. We do have quorum or no?
We will, Matt,
Uh,
we'll have 6, but I will be the 6th.
but you can still vote
I
in
think
case.
that. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to have to log off, but I am in strong support of any motion that requests the mayor respectfully to appear so that we can share our concerns and whatever that within that request that we share the frustration of this board with all of the issues that have been stated. And so I'm sorry that I have to leave. I do apologize, but
We understand.
okay. Michael, I'm with this board. I'm gonna say this last thing. If we cannot meet with the mayor to come to a resolution, if the mayor declines to meet with us, then I'll resign.
Mm,
It's just that clear.
mm,
It's just that clear.
mhm,
I support the mayor. I believe in the mayor. The buck stops with the mayor,
mhm.
not with the commissioner of corrections, not with the public safety director, not with the city councilor. These are all her appointments, just like we are. We're not getting paid. We understand that there are issues in that building. We know that. Everybody knows that. And if there is a fear that we might uncover something, that if there's a fear that we might uncover something, and that's why we're being obstructed, then that needs to come out too.
Mhm.
Because people's lives are at risk. It is just that serious. And I applaud Matt. I know that this has been a difficult job for him. Extremely difficult, Chair. Just as I applaud you and the other members of the committee, of the board, I applaud Matt because I know that this can't be easy for him. I'm just sure that it's like walking a tightrope because he works for the city. So I get it. But as a board member, as the vice chair of this board, it is incumbent upon us to speak directly to the head, and that head is the mayor. I respect her immensely. I support her, but we need to have this face to face. And that's the last I'll say. Thank you for giving me so much time, Chair, to say that. But that's where I'm at right now. I don't want to be on this board and something happens
Mhm.
and we were not given the resources and the tools to circumvent it.
Mhm.
And so anyway, thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Good night,
Thank
everybody.
you.
And Rev.
All right, Reverend.
So it looks like will still have a quorum. I see a few. Oh, Matt, is your hand up?
Yeah, it's for James.
That's just a point of order. Looking at the email, it looks like the 5.9 and 5.10 DOC training is just for Matt and his staff, not for us.
Right. So I've been pretty consistent with the commissioner that 16 hours during your day jobs will not work in that. And kind of the compromise is that we'll go through it and then see what we can condense it down to, that's more
Manageable.
for the board. So that's where that's at.
So I just want to check. We are almost an hour and a half into the meeting. We do have a very long agenda. I think that there might be some items that we can take off. But I do think that we should keep moving. I saw your hand is up, Mike. I think if you would like to be the last comment on this, then we can keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I want to make a motion. I think, and also want to follow up on Rev Gray really quickly. The mayor actually does owe us something, and that's an explanation, more than an explanation, but she should step in. There's no way that we can no longer take the excuse that people don't know. The city council's office is doing everything possible to stop us and obstruct and not give us information. She needs to be held to an account. We need her here. I want to make a motion for the mayor to come to this board and for a line of questioning. And also, I mean, and with that, I don't know if we can do this, but that there needs to be some type of action plan. She can't just come and talk to us about what's happening. We need some follow-up to make sure that things are happening because people are literally dying inside of the shell.
I second that motion.
Okay, I think we can move to a vote on this unless there's very pertinent discussion that would change the motion. Okay, so we could take a roll call vote. Barb Baker,
Yes.
James Dom.
Aye.
Vice Chair Gray is not here. Tom Lawson.
But I think Reverend Gray has made it public on this recording that he's in favor of what Michael's proposing.
Okay, I don't think we can technically take that as a yes, but It will go in the notes. Ornitha Lewis Walls is not here. Mike Milton,
Yes.
Hillary Stuckey,
Yes.
Pam Walker is not here. Matt, I usually don't vote, but I think I need,
5 votes is still a majority.
okay,
So I think you can do either. I don't think you need to vote because it's still, even if everyone showed up and voted against it, would still carry.
okay, gotcha. I will still abstain, but I am very much so in support of this. Okay, so the motion passes. Am I still on? Yes, okay, the motion passes. I just wanted to say, Reverend Gray, maybe Tom mentioned that it could be a closed meeting. I don't think it needs to be closed, and I would love for the public to be able to hear
Me too.
what is said. I think the mayor should be accountable to us and to the public,
100%.
or to us because she's accountable to the public. Okay, so we have that motion is passed. The next item on our agenda, the other motion is the public statement, which we do have on the agenda towards the end. The next item on the agenda is a motion to close the meeting pursuant to 610.021 subsection 1. This is based on, to close it, to speak about legal advice. I would just propose that I don't think we need to go over this again in light of our new understanding of the city councilor's office, I suppose. But I would say Barb and Mike, it's kind of up to you here if you would like to close the meeting and discuss this or
No.
just move on.
We can just move on.
Okay, great. So we'll move on from that. We'll move on from the return to open session. Next, we have the healthcare subcommittee update. Pam is not here, but she did send something. Matt, are you or someone on your staff able to share the screen to show Pam's graph?
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Whoever is Hughes O, just wanted to let you know you are off mute.
While we
Are
wait
you-
for that, can I ask a point of clarification in
Sure.
regards to this?
Yes.
Matt, when you say no substantive, I forgot the term that you used. What exactly does that include? Does that include subpoena power too?
It wasn't defined. So that's most likely I would suspect that it includes subpoena power or any actions. I've been contending that talking and taking complaints from people is not a substantive action because we're not actively investigating that. Just receiving complaints, I mean, that's something we do already for the COB.
And does that include investigations too? The substantive?
Yeah, it would definitely include investigations. And my argument is that receiving information and talking to people, that's part of the orientation process of understanding what exactly what the scope of the issues are. We need to have that known. So I think that's part of any orientation process is what I'm made that argument.
And when did the clock start for the 1 year?
Oh, the new ordinance.
When was
So
that?
end of March of 23. So like March 24th, I think it was, it took effect. It's right around there. I don't have it in front of me.
24th
Are
of
you able to
this
share
year,
that
right?
screen? Yes, so it would be, but that's not, it's a 1 year maximum, so it doesn't have to take a year. We can.
Emails you something that Pam said.
Okay,
It's
it
the
doesn't have to take a
attachment
year,
of the
just
email
whenever.
just for-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just trying to get the chart pulled up. Go ahead, Mike.
So it doesn't have, so whenever we meet the requirements is when we can
Yes.
start making and the requirements
The
are one more time for me.
It's the orientation program detailed in the section here.
That's the only thing?
Yeah,
Okay. Well, that's helpful. So when y'all
Right.
do the orientation in May, whenever the May dates are, you come to the orientation with us, we good to go.
yeah. So there's like 10 different subjects they want covered in the orientation, but the ordinance wants covered in the orientation. I'm in the process, like I detailed, and we can even cover that now, the orientation process. So I have reached out for an attorney, and hopefully they'll be able to provide on constitutional rights at our next meeting. If not, I'll have someone else there. We will have that covered at our next meeting. And then I've reached out for the city. I've asked the city councilor's office to do confidentiality, employees' rights, and the sunshine rules. And then we're working on the detention facility procedures. We're going to kind of reevaluate once we do that training in early May. So hopefully, yeah, we can get it done in short order. But that's what we're actively working at.
I'm sorry, that was all my questions. I apologize.
Yep.
Mike, let me add something here. So when the clock starts and ends is one of the questions we were having Alderwoman Clark Hubbard ask about. I don't think it is clearly stated there. I think an argument could be made that the clock starts once we have our full orientation, and then we have a year of transition. I think that any argument could be made, really, and if we're waiting, and if we're kind of relying on the argument being made on the city councilor's office, we have to guess what that argument is based on the past arguments that we have read. Additionally, some of these trainings that are necessary to complete the orientation are trainings we have been asking the city councilor's office to give us. And until we find other attorneys to do it, or we get independent counsel, we are relying on the city councilor's office to finish our orientation. So I think that there's a vagueness that means an indefinite amount of time. And I also believe the language was no substantive action, which again, it depends on the city councilor's reading of that.
Define a substantive, yeah.
Right, which I think will be a generous reading so that anything meaningful is substantive.
Right.
Which means we can't do anything meaningful. Additionally, even if the city says that we can interview people, those are people inside the facility that the commissioner runs. So I want us to be prepared for this to mean what everything has meant so far, which is just no oversight.
Right.
But I also wanted to add, I don't know what happened to the independent counsel. That also should have been on the agenda. If we could, around the public statement, it seems like we all want this, but kind of make a motion there. I will remind us to talk about that then. But I see Pam's graph is up. James, you were part of this committee, right? Okay,
Yes.
Tom, were you also part of this committee?
No,
Michael.
I don't
No.
believe so.
Okay, what was your hand up related to?
When Matt said the sunshine law, I just want to remind everybody, if you are in any capacity whatsoever going to the city jail or the detention facility, and you take any notes, anything that you write down can be for the sunshine law and can be publicly made. So just keep that in mind, that if you are acting in a capacity of our committee, that everything you do in the name of our committee needs to be thought out. And just remember, everything can be requested. So that's under the sunshine law.
Does that mean that every time I take, I guess, I don't know that I'll get back in, but should I send my notes to you then, Matt, so that they can
Yeah, you
easily
can
be
send them to me.
sunshine?
Sure, yep.
Okay. They're kind of scribbles, but I will send them. Okay, so, yes, James, if you could take us through Pam's, sorry, the whole committee's graph, map. Spreadsheet.
You see it.
Okay. So we were essentially just kind of in the early stages of trying to figure out the kind of information we needed to request and who we needed to request it from. So this chart seems to be a idealized timeline for basically approving, getting a board vote on us identifying the data that we need, requesting it, waiting to get it, reviewing it, identifying concerns. Again, next steps brought to the full board, interviews, drafting a report on those findings, and then coming to the board with the findings for final approval. That's what it looks like from her chart here. I don't want to say that definitively with her not here, but that's kind of how I'm reading it. So far it was just kind of broad strokes on our meeting. We discussed trying to get some information from Horizon, and there were supposed to be some people reaching out to see. No response yet.
No response yet. I'm just
Okay.
checking.
So
Okay,
yeah, so we've made initial entreaties as far as seeing who we need to speak to, what kind of information we can get, and the information that we're trying to get. And we have apparently not yet received anything back from them, which is not a huge surprise.
I'm gonna follow up with the commissioner. I have a meeting scheduled, personal meeting with just myself and the commissioner of corrections this week, and that's one of the issues I'll bring up is the request for information for part of this review of medical records and how it can be done.
I'll say I was on this board. I mean, I was on the subcommittee for this, but so much of this seems so mute because it's not like we can do anything at this point. It's like, you're not gonna get no information from the jail commissioner, Matt. Thanks for talking to her. They're not gonna give us any information we can't subpoena. The only option at this point is that we gotta get the mayor here. I know we made that, it's gonna happen. But I feel like we are having a conversation that we can't even move on because we're not going to get any information from them, and the city council is doing everything possible to stop us. So I just want to say that here, like, I feel like we should move on to another motion.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's really much that the board would be able to vote on approving in so far as the medical investigation subcommittee as things currently stand.
Yeah, we can't do nothing.
Mike, sorry, I was
I'm
on
sorry.
mute. What motion were you referring to when you said we should move on to another motion?
Yeah, I think we should make a motion to make a public statement or letter about some of the barriers and roadblocks so we don't lose public trust that we've been receiving from the city council's office and everyone else. I think that the public need a detailed account of some of the roadblocks so they can understand
Okay.
what we were doing with this board.
Sure. So the only other, before new business and public comment, the only other agenda items were the public statement and the orientation plan. Matt already went over the orientation plan. So it looks like since there's nothing actionable around the healthcare subcommittee update, we can move on to the public statement. And we can include, sorry, just everything you just said, Mike. So yes.
Yeah, I'd like to make that motion.
Could you just restate it?
For sure. I would like to make a motion that this board produces a letter to the public about some of the roadblocks or all of the roadblocks that we have gotten from the city council's office and the mayor's office, sorry, the administration.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Are we ready to vote? I'll take a roll call vote. Barbara Baker,
Aye.
James Dom,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gray is not here. Tom Lawson,
Aye.
Ornitha Lewis Walls is not here. Mike Milton,
Aye.
Hillary Stuckey,
Aye.
Secretary Pam is not here. I abstain, but I'm in full support of this. The motion passes. I think it would be good if we can just each offer a few points that we would like covered in this public statement. And then Mike, if you could draw something up, and we can either approve this at our next meeting, which would usually be a month out, or if we could do the same thing we did last time with in like a week or two, or however long you think it would take to make this statement. We could just have a meeting solely for the purpose of approving this.
That would be my preference.
Okay, yeah, I think because of time is of the essence, we'll I'll remember at the end of this meeting to schedule the next meeting to approve this. Okay, yeah, so we should talk about what we want to include.
I
So
have
this
a
is-
question.
Yes, Barb.
Have anybody on the committee tried to set up a meeting with staff there?
Which staff?
The staff that's worked in CJC.
Currently working
We
there?
probably run into the same
Mhm.
roadblock with the commissioner.
I can speak of my experience with that. I originally, well, at some point had the idea that if a tour was not going to be possible because they say they're busy or whatever, maybe I could shadow a staff member for some time, and that would be like a version of a visit. I have had good conversations with the security guard. However, he informed me that he does not answer to the commissioner. He works for the city, and that at some point that role was transferred to like being a subset of the police department, so that I guess the commissioner's staff weren't responsible for screening their own staff because of conflicts. So I think he would be open for a meeting, but I don't know how helpful he could be since he has never been inside the facility outright. I also just remembered that when I spoke to him, he talked to me about the process of the like TSA metal detector type screening that goes through.
Mhm.
And he told me how there's really no way to assess, really no way to stop drugs from being brought into the facility unless he can smell them, which of course does not, a lot of drugs can't be smelled. So that was a concern I had. The other conversations I have had with staff members who do answer to the commissioner have been very standoffish. Like even more so than the commissioner, I would say. So I'm not sure about that. But again, they're paid by the commissioner, so they don't really have an incentive to cross the boundary that the commissioner has set with us.
Okay.
If I may, the
Yeah.
issue that we would have, our best bet would be to address shift briefing if we wanted to get comments from rank and file staff. To address during shift briefing, that's 3 times a day. We would certainly need the permission of the commissioner for that. So that may be a little pie in the sky, but if we were able to get that permission, I would be willing to volunteer to do that, having worked there previously.
James, I'm not familiar with that what do you call it? Saying pie in the sky. What is that?
Oh, just that doesn't seem likely.
Oh,
Doesn't
okay.
seem like a thing that we would be able to achieve without
Okay.
the commissioner's approval.
Okay. Sounds good. Other things to include in the letter.
I think
So
we
this
need-
is, sorry,
I'm sorry.
this
go
is a
ahead.
public statement.
I think so, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And what is the general purpose of the statement? Are we asking the public to act, or are we trying to brief the public on things that have been said here, but if the public has not been here, they wouldn't have seen that. Are we trying to raise awareness or alarm?
I think we need to raise awareness around the roadblocks that the city has put up to stop us from holding the jail accountable.
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind with that is what has related to questions around you and Barb on the board.
The lack of
I
information
don't-
that we received, I think that's
Right.
another one. A timeline of all.
I was going to say that
I'm sorry, go
that
ahead.
I don't know how to speak about that in a public statement.
And that was my question before we leave tonight. What is our standing at this point for us
On the
being on
board.
this board? Mhm.
As far as I go on the board, I don't really want to speak about it again. We want you here, you are here. That's that, as far as I go.
Yeah,
Okay.
the city just gave an opinion. We good.
Okay.
Okay, Tom, you could, at this point, since we're kind of strategizing, you could just, no need to raise your hand for
Okay.
this section.
Yeah, I think that we need to do a little politicking here. If we're wanting the mayor to actually consider us serious, we may not want to criticize anything that relates to City Hall. We may want to have that discussion with the mayor first, just to see what's going on. But I am a little hesitant about drafting a public letter. I think it's great to bring in the public because to be honest, teaching criminal justice, the biggest way of changing public policy in corrections and criminal justice system is through the media. And having a public statement will have ripples. It will ripple through the society. It'll make its way. People will see it. More maybe jump on and watch more of it. We might have more people at our meeting. But I would be hesitant about what we want to connect the mayor to as far as things that are being done or not being done. That's the only thing I just wanted to bring up.
I would
Yeah.
say, Tom, I appreciate you bringing up that point. I think it will be hard for us to communicate the facts of the situation without it reflecting poorly on the city, to be honest. I think some of the crucial facts we need to communicate will reflect poorly on the city. I think that we can speak factually and yeah, I'm not sure that is one possible. Two, and this might be just my bias from being so close to that emotional situation happening, but I how to say it? With all due respect, I don't care, I guess. I think after so many, at the beginning, I was like, let's, stay calm, do what we can. Let's try to build the relationships necessary to work on this together. At that time, I believed that we shared a common goal with the commissioner and with the city of improving conditions. I no longer believe that is true. The only commitment I've seen from the commissioner is to secrecy and to wasting precious time. And I don't know. I feel like the mayor could have come to any of these meetings. I have tried to contact the mayor's office.
Okay.
And that's, yeah, I guess, when it comes down to it, we'll look at the draft, we'll see what our edits are, but I think that we've got to present some difficult facts.
Well, we can always put things where this is happening, and the mayor has created this task force, this oversight board, and that we really need the support to carry out and to do the job that we need to do. So, yeah, but I agree with you, the heck with everything. We're talking about human beings here.
Right.
And yeah, maybe we need to just not care about the political aspect, but the reality.
I was hoping that Mike could work on this with Reverend Gray, because I think Mike has the passion that I'm hoping will show in this statement. And Reverend Gray has some of the
Eloquence.
political, he can say like the nice thing first.
Yeah.
which would be helpful.
Yeah,
And,
'cause
and
I
it's,
have nothing to say.
What did you say, Mike?
Go ahead, Barb. I'm sorry.
Definitely, I'm sure you're gonna have the commissioner in that statement, right?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. So anything else? Good.
I would like if there could be a clear representation, bullet points of attempted visits, denials,
Yeah.
the successful visits, and certainly the last visit. And then just the final bullet point, a quote, no more tours allowed. I mean, I think that alone is a great presentation of facts. And I can get you the dates, but
Yeah.
I don't know how relevant this is because it was before we were sworn in, but it was the time when I thought we were operating. We hadn't been sworn in, but I had been reaching out to the mayor's office, not heard anything back. I had no understanding of the city government or how all of this worked. And I attempted to visit the facility. If you'd like the dates of when that happened, I'll find those because I've been denied access more than I've been given access.
Mhm.
And even when we sat down with them at the very first meeting, then sat down with them to introduce them to who we were and stuff, and they was acting like how willing they was for us to be able to come in and see the clients and stuff there, and knew all along that that wasn't going to happen. We already explained to them before we even tried to do anything who we were and what our purpose would be there.
I actually think Mike was not at that meeting, correct?
don't
I
think-
think Mike and
Right,
Mike
I
and
don't
Reverend
think-
Gray.
Right. Neither one of them was at that meeting.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you ended up including that, I can reiterate what happened there. So yeah, I think our attempted visits, some of the ways that we've been blocked.
And we can't, just to be clear, we
Anything-
cannot talk about the it's privileged information for me and Barb's situation.
Well, that's iffy there. I mean, it's
I mean,
confidential under,
it's already public information too.
right. It's confidential under attorney-client privilege, which the city's use of that has been referred to recently. I'm not sure. I guess you could certainly put it in the draft. Maybe when we're looking to approve that, we can go into a closed session to talk about that part of the draft. And at that point, we'll decide, we'll vote as a board. Are we
Okay.
including this? Are we not?
I can't,
Oh,
I can't
if you-
wait. I'm sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
can't wait to see what you come up with, Mike.
He was made for this.
I'm not gonna do this
Um,
today because if it was
I
going
know you're not gonna do it today. I say to see what. That's why I say I can't wait to see what you come up with. I know it takes a couple of days to put it together.
Mike, could you also mention, I'd like it to mention the 6 deaths and also that we've received, and I believe this to be true, but correct me if I'm wrong, anyone. We've received nothing that suggests that protocol was reviewed or changed since then. I remember asking that actually. I remember asking that when the commissioner came and we got the pending litigation answer. I think it needs to be reiterated that essentially, to our knowledge, nothing has been done since then to prevent that from happening again.
I think they may have also commented that it was all still under investigation, so they didn't have a definitive answer.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think posing it as to our knowledge,
Right.
we have no evidence to suggest protocols have been changed. Yeah. I do see that we have at least a few members of the public I know I spoke to one person that did want to speak later, so I just want to make sure that before we go like past 2 hours, we do have time for the public to speak. So unless there are other things that people want to add, also, if you think of anything after the meeting, that can be something that you send to Mike.
Does that conclude our new business then?
That was not new business, that was public statement. Okay, so we can move on from the public statement part. Sorry, let me get my kitten. She really likes biting wires, which deeply concerns me. One thing I wanted to mention, I understand that this has been a very difficult experience and that people, well, I hear that people are thinking of leaving the board. I do understand the notion that some people might feel that they would be able to do more outside of the board than on the board. I'm not going to fight you on that. I will say that personally, I will try to stay on the board as long as I possibly can. Even if I don't have some hope that something will, even if I don't have hope, even if I don't think that I will make it inside the jail, I'm still willing to go to the jail so that they have to, in writing, deny me. I think that that is something important that we can do. Obviously, we want to do so much more, but I think we need to make it increasingly difficult for them to stop us from doing our jobs. I know that I'm not sure if it was the commissioner, but someone told us recently, no more visits. I still am going to try to go on Friday mornings, and they're still going to have to deny me. Yeah, I think my only regret from the last visit is that I walked out of there of my own free will. I should have gone limp, so they had to drag me out. But I am still going to try. I'm still going to make it hard for them to deny us. I think it's important to show the public that we have tried at every step and we're being blocked at every step, instead of they're just kind of generally blocking us and generally, kind of beating us down and ruining and taking away our hope. So that's all I wanted to say there. And I think we can move to new business. Does anyone have anything? Otherwise, I'll be moving to public comment. Oh, I'm sorry. There is something. Independent counsel. I wanted to get back to that. Could we vote? I believe that this is something that that Matt would be able to look into for us. Is that accurate, Matt? Would you be able to help with finding us independent counsel?
Well, we have to request, let me pull it up here quick. So special counsel, which is, let me get the right, it's section 8H. It says request to the city councilor on majority vote for good cause shown may request that the city councilor provide, and the city councilor may in their sole discretion and subject to the requirements of city code retain special counsel to advise the DFLB on such matters requiring such advice. The decision to grant a such request and the selection of special counsel is exclusively vested in the sound discretion of the city councilor. So,
Okay.
yeah, I can help with the request if the board votes to do that.
So
but that's the section that we'd be requesting it under.
okay. Thank you for reading that, Matt. I did not understand any of that until you read it. I was not aware that this would still have to go through the city councilor's office. that it's
Yeah.
up to their sole discretion that they would be appointing this person. I mean, I'm still down to vote on this, but that kind of sounds like it. I can't. I assumed the independent council would be independent, and it sounds like that's not how this is set up.
I'm sorry, I
that's
was taking
unfortunate.
notes. So Matt, did you just read that the even if we was to get independent counsel, it's still by the choice of the city council's office?
Yes.
Stop.
Sole discretion, it read. Hmm.
And I have not looked at the city code section it references. So there might, I would need to review that as well, yeah.
Matt, do you know the other civilian oversight board? Do you know if they have independent counsel or if they have encountered something similar?
They, to my knowledge, they have not ever requested special counsel or independent counsel or they've never requested it.
Okay.
How was that not a conflict of interest? Like, why would they get to choose their opponent?
That's a good legal question.
We should ask our lawyer, the city councilor. So what do we want to do, board? Do we still want to vote on it or?
Yeah,
Okay. All right, would anyone like to bring the motion?
I mean, before I'll bring the motion too. I've been making a lot of motions, but I think we should make them say that they're not gonna choose a independent counsel. So that's my vote for why we should go
Sure.
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to make a motion
hear
that we pursue independent counsel.
Do I hear a
the
second?
motion. I second.
Thanks, Tom. We have a motion to request independent counsel. I will go ahead and take a roll call vote. Barbara Baker,
Aye.
James Dom,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gray is not here. Tom Lawson,
Aye.
Ornitha Lewis Wallace is not here. Mike Milton,
Aye.
Hillary Stuckey. Oh no. Where's Hillary? If we lost Hillary, then we lost the quorum. Okay, hold on. Oh no. Hillary texted me 20 minutes ago. I have to hop off for another meeting. Didn't want to interrupt. So we don't have a
I
quorum.
think we'll have to table this until maybe we can cover it when we approve the public statement.
Great.
Janice,
idea.
you don't get to vote?
I mean, I can, but we still have 5.
We need 6
Which is not
members
a
for the
quorum.
quorum.
Okay, well, at least we know what we want to do. Okay. All right, I'm a little,
Table it to next time.
yeah,
Right.
okay. Before we go to public comment, can we schedule our next meeting? Shoot, well, I'm not sure that now's the best time to schedule it if we only have 5 people here.
Right. Yeah, we handle it via email.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Hold on. Well, let's figure out when the 5 of us are available, because sometimes via email, not everyone responds. So let's look a week out. And let's see what that will be.
Mike, do you think a week's sufficient time for you to get the statement together?
A week as in the 24th? I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Let me check first though, because I know one of these Mondays is not good for Pam.
I mean, I would prefer the May 1st. I mean, we need to get it out soon though.
Okay, yeah, next Monday I think is not good for Pam because that'll be a 4th Monday. It's not good for someone.
It's not
So you
good for
said you
Barb,
prefer,
the city council.
which Barb? Oh,
The-
okay. Which day would you prefer, Mike?
I mean, I think it needs to follow soon. So I would say, do we have to stick to the Monday?
No,
Okay. What
No.
about next Tuesday or Wednesday, the 26th?
At 5. I
Yeah.
could do, I will keep it to like 30 minutes max. I don't even think we're
Yeah,
gonna
I
need
don't
that.
think we need that long. Yeah.
But I could do the 25th at 5. I could do the 26th at 5 as well. Does anyone? Does
The
Tuesday
25th.
not work?
The Tuesday would probably not work for me, but Wednesday should be fine.
Okay, does Wednesday not work for anyone? Wednesday, the 26th at 5 to 5:30 p.m.
Oh, I'm tripping. That don't work for me. Can we do Thursday?
Okay. Yeah, let's look at Thursday.
Thursday, the 27th.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't want to be in no meeting on my birthday.
Oh,
birthday, happy
Barb.
No, that's right. And happy early
Happy
birthday, boy.
birthday.
The 27th, thank you. The 27th will work because I won't be anywhere doing anything. And for 30 minutes, then 5 o'clock in the evening, I'll be at home. As
Sure.
long as it's by
Oh.
Zoom, I can do Thursday, the 27th.
Oh, you said it would work.
Yeah,
I
that
don't think we
works.
need to. I don't think we
It
need
ain't
to do
nothing.
Thursday.
We can do Thursday. It ain't nothing but 30 minutes. I don't have any plans. My
Okay.
sister,
Hopefully,
my sister's at rehab, not for drugs, but because she had to have stents put in her legs and stuff. And so I want my daughter to have me a brunch, but I don't want her to do it after my sister come home. So
okay.
I'll be working Thursday morning and I can be on the meeting 30 minutes Thursday afternoon.
Okay. Well, hopefully the public statement will be a very fun read.
Right.
And it'll be a nice birthday gift.
Right.
Okay, so
Yeah.
at 5 p.m. on the 27th, does it
Okay.
not work for anyone? Okay, great. So let's, I will get that out to the rest of the members and make sure we can at least have a quorum. Okay, so the 27th, 5 to 5:30. Okay. Are we inviting the commissioner to the next meeting?
Yeah,
I think Matt froze.
Yeah.
Matt, do we have you back?
can you hear me now? Yeah,
Yes.
I invited her to the May 15th meeting.
Okay. Oh, okay, the May 15th. Okay, I was
Yep.
sort of asking, do we, not asking in any leading way, do we want to invite her to the next meeting? Board.
The May 15th meeting.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay. With some specific agenda, I'm assuming, in
Yes.
terms of questions. Okay, not an open. Okay, sounds good. If you have anything to add to next meeting's agenda other than, well, not the emergency meeting agenda. Next proper May 15th meeting agenda, just let us know over email like always. Is there any other new business? Or we'll move to public comment and then adjournment. Okay, hearing no new business, we will move to public comment. So for the members of the public still here, if you just somehow let me know that you would like to speak, each person will get 3 minutes to comment or I suppose ask a question, something like that. If you could just put your video on and wave or something, then I will know to let you have the floor. Anyone?
When Democrat Adam Schiff tried to do the same, well, he was met with a particularly enthusiastic.
Rhonda, were you trying to? Hi, are you trying? You want the
Well,
floor?
if no one else, I thought you had a specific person that wanted to comment and I didn't want to belabor the time. But if there no one else will speak, I will speak because it has been a very moving meeting. And I'm sorry, Janice, that happened to you, especially when you're trying to do good. But I think what comes to mind is I don't feel anyways tired. You started the journey for a reason. Don't give up. Don't give up the fight yet. You know, just keep on fighting. So I wanted to say that. And I want to say thank you to all of you who are on this journey, who are trying to make a difference. But I am a bit naive, I would say, because I really do not understand what is it that they gain from doing the things that they're doing, obstructing, you know, and stonewalling. I just don't see how they benefit. Why would someone want to do that and not improve conditions for, as somebody mentioned, their client? Humanity, for themselves. You know, I mean, I just don't understand that. And I know I am a little bit naive in this area, but please, if you could briefly, you know, just fill me in.
Do you have a particular board member you'd like to ask or just anyone?
Well, since Mike has been doing all the talking today and all the motions, Mike, can you help a sister out?
Yeah, I mean, I can give what my idea is. I genuinely think that it's a hard, you know, sell to say that the jail is improving public safety. And I think that the jail has been having problems for so long, decades, like Barb said. And I think this requires them, this being the board and the functions of the board really requires them to face a truth that they don't want to face. Because I think it would make them be accountable in a way. So I think they're doing everything they can to dodge accountability, which is why this board was created. Hope
Can I
that
also
answers-
add to that?
Yeah.
I think that I was confused too, Rhonda. The creation of this board suggested to me that the city, I didn't automatically assume that the commissioner and the CJC wanted oversight, but I did assume that the city would like oversight to, if nothing else, protect the city from further liability. But I also don't think that the city expected there to be a quick succession of several deaths in between the time that this idea was proposed and we would start to work. And it seems to me that maybe they do not have hope that conditions could be improved, or just that if it was exposed what was going on inside the CJC, that any member of the public would want to keep it open. Actually, I firmly believe that. I firmly believe that if people in St. Louis knew exactly what was going on in the facility and had the power to close it, I think that they would close it.
And I think that a lot of them that work there is confused between as punishment or between the difference between someone is sent there as punishment and not to be punished. They got the two confused. You know, they sitting there as punishment, not to be punished.
Well, they shouldn't even be there as punishment though, because it's jail. They're there pre-trial.
Right.
I mean, yeah, I think the amount of time that they're there. I mean, the man I ran into was
maybe I
uh-huh.
Maybe I used the wrong term, but the
Mhm.
bottom line is that they feel like the people are sitting there to be punished by them.
Yes. I do my best to stay. I keep Google alerts of anything going on with the jail, and I do my best to stay away from the comment section. But I sometimes I make the mistake of reading the comments from the St. Louis public. And I see that some people have the idea that jail should be a place where people are punished or tortured, or who cares what happens to them. We can kind of throw people away there. And
Absolutely.
I think that is right. And I think that is what's happening to them. I think that
Right.
they are being tortured. I would say not being allowed to shower is being tortured. I would
Right.
say solitary confinement is being tortured. Not being able to speak to your family. And this always sounds silly to me when I say it, but going in there and seeing that you can't see the sun, you can't see the sky, there are no plants, to be in there for years on end, I think is torture. And I
That
don't
is
know,
a
I think,
And no
Yeah.
kind of recreation or anything to relieve their
Right.
frustration, not being able to talk to their public defender, not being able to know when they going to court, what's going to happen to them, a lot of that. And then you got to go through that with the staff. It's just too much.
So, yeah, they're basically being denied basic human rights. And Rhonda, I'm really happy that you're part of the team here, being with us. And I think what's happened is our new commissioner has stepped into problems that, like Mike has said, that's been around for decades. And people at that level, they're worried about their resume. And if all these problems had been boiling up to this point, she's not the one who's going to want to be known for the one that has all these problems that suddenly just occur. So I have a feeling that from her point of view, being off the radar is the best that you can do. And I think politicians know that that's what they're looking for when they hire somebody to be in a position like that. Out of sight, out of mind. And I think a lot of people in the public probably like that idea that I don't have to worry or think about that. And unfortunately, not thinking about it has tolerated too much of this, gross misconduct.
Why
I'm
not
not
be
sure
a
that-
hero or shero? You know, it seems like this is the time to put on your cape and be a hero.
Yep,
Solve a
absolutely.
problem, leave a legacy. What happened to all of that stuff?
Yep.
I guess that's where my naivete comes in. I
She
would think
got
if I had the opportunity to make it better, I would definitely do it.
She got a cape on to be a hero for that, not for the people that she's serving there. She's sent there to protect.
I will also add, I'm not sure that this answers your question in any way, but I feel like advocating for people in jail is seen as a nuisance. I mean, since I've been on the board, I've generally gotten the sense that I appear to be a nuisance to the commissioner. I also, it's kind of like bigger than St. Louis, obviously, but in the sense that I reached out to the Department of Justice after the 6 deaths, because I did the math and I was looking at the national mortality rate for people in jail, and ours at that point was over 7 times the national average. I reached out to the Department of Justice about this. They didn't seem too concerned. They didn't come down to St. Louis. I don't know. So yeah, it's a hard sell for some reason to want to improve the quality of life for people in jail, which is a shame, especially the way that St. Louis, at the rate St. Louis jails people and the length of time that St. Louis jails people.
Innocent
They-
until proven guilty.
Not
That's-
even with that. Not even with
Yeah.
that.
Well, thank you, Rhonda. This has, of course, been 3 minutes, but I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to speak to the public. If you know anyone from the public that would come to our meeting, please bring them.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Rhonda.
Thank you. Are there any other Anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Have any questions? I saw Kayla Reed was on here for a second. That was nice.
Who you say?
Kayla Reed was on here for a second, but not anymore. I was just saying it was nice. Okay, well, I don't hear anyone from the public. We have our next meeting date. If there isn't any further business, this meeting is, well, there will be a motion. I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. And then
I'll
we'll
move
get
to
out of
adjourn.
here. Okay,
I move
do
to
we have a second?
I'll second it.
No need for a roll call vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say no. The motion passes. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for coming.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye,
guys.
everybody. Have a nice rest of your week.
Happy
Have a
birthday,
good
Barb.
week.
Yeah, have a
Thank
good
you.
birthday, Barb.
All right. Thank you. I'll see you all Thursday.